So I'm calling to order the planning board meeting of April 20th, 2021. It is now 7:08, and I'll begin by reviewing the agenda. Are there any items not on the agenda that we didn't know 48 hours in advance? Hearing none, we'll go ahead. I think we'll do the minutes first. And our first hearing is at 7:30, a scenic road hearing for 11 Farm Road. At 7:45, we have Meadowbrook Acres definitive subdivision, which I understand will be continued. Current planning board business includes the zoning article for town meeting. I'll report on the advisory committee last week. We'll have updates on ongoing and potential development projects, and then other business, including citizen comments. Anyone want to bring something up? Reports on meetings with other boards, and then a town planner report. So I think this should be a fairly efficient meeting, not a long one by any means, but that's good. We'll have time to discuss. Let's start with the minutes. Gino, can you share your screen?
Sure.
I should ask before we begin, does anyone have comments on the minutes? You've all read the minutes?
I have no issues with the minutes.
Okay. I have a question about the minutes. You know, it's sort of a new layout where there are headings for the various subjects. Between the opening of the meeting and the reviewing of the agenda, apparently that's the first thing that happened. The next thing listed is a 7:40 hearing. So I'm wondering, are we deciding not to go in chronological order in our minutes, or how should we take this?
No, that was, I think we had a little bit of offline email conversation about this. I apologize, I didn't, but that was an oversight on my part, because I always start with the agenda as my table of contents, and then I usually move things around as we do them. And I didn't do that last time. And I, for some reason, thought someone else was going to fix the problem, but we can reorganize things.
Oh, okay. I think either you or Gino can reorganize it according to what actually, the actual sequence of events. I sort of assumed that you were going to do that before this meeting, because we did have an online conversation about it.
Yeah, sorry, I think we just got mixed up in one issue. But
yes, Steph had actually had a note in here for me to consider reorganizing it, and I thought, I've seen other minutes before. I just left it so we could have this discussion, but I have seen other minutes where there's just a note that it was taken out of order, and it follows the agenda. But I mean, our usual practice is to go in chronological order, so we can reorder it pretty easily. I think the only issue is remembering what order it actually was. But I can just refer back to the recording and put it in the right order.
Yeah, the transcript feature makes it pretty easy to just skim through and figure it out.
Yeah, exactly.
If you need me to do it, I can do it. But I mean, I wonder if it's possible to just sort of like approve them pending, resequencing, as opposed to.
Yeah, I'm sure we can. But taking advantage of your suggestion, which I think is a good one, to discuss it with the board. Can I hear from the rest of the board? I mean, how are the minutes most useful to other members of the board? Is the chronological order important, or is it better just to have things under the headings as they are in the agenda, in the published agenda?
I personally think in general, I think it's better to stay in order as we've done the business. Because then you don't see gaps in the meetings. But I don't think this is a big issue. I mean, personally.
Yeah.
But I think it is good to keep them in order, personally.
In order of how the discussion proceeded in the meeting?
Correct.
How it actually happened. That's kind of my view too. Addie Mae, John, do you have an opinion?
I'm kind of inclined to say yes. Also, it should be in order going forward, only because if someone who did attend the meeting was to look at the minutes, then they would go, well, wait a minute, did I miss something? Because if they're reading it and it's something stated
Yep.
as happening before, then they might think that they missed something.
Yeah. John, what do you think?
I think Addie Mae makes a good point, and I agree with Chris. I think that it helps me, it jogs my memory to have the minutes reflect the actual meeting sequence.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with all of you. So yeah, let's review them as they are, and Steph and or Gino will put them in the proper order, and I'm sure we trust them to do that well. So, okay, but from here on, we'll assume it's going to be in order. Okay, other than that, are there comments on the substance of the minutes? And we'll jump ahead as needed if you do have comments. Does anyone have any comments?
It didn't jog my memory because I wasn't there, but I thought it read well. It made sense to me. So other than that, no comment.
Good.
Are we okay to approve
I'm okay
them?
with the motion to approve the minutes.
I will second that.
Okay, any discussion? We'll have a roll call vote. John?
Aye.
Gino? Oh, not Gino. No, you can vote. I'm taking you in order of your little pictures. Chris?
Yes.
Addie Mae?
Aye.
And who else? Me. I guess that's it. Good, thank you. Let's move on. We have 15 minutes before the first hearing. So I see Mr. Mula is here, and I apologize for putting you off, but since your hearing was scheduled for 7:30, we have to wait until 7:30 in case other citizens show up who want to hear it. So please excuse us just for the moment, and we'll come back to you at 7:30. Okay, current planning board business. The zoning article for town meeting, the open space zoning article with its amendment that we agreed on concerning the frontage requirement for open space subdivisions and the screening requirements for scenic road protection was presented at the advisory select board joint meeting, and to my amazement, no one had any objections at all. So that passed. And the same is true for the easement article that Gino presented. Everyone was right on board. So it was a very easy job for us that day. Updates on ongoing and potential development projects. There was a ZBA meeting concerning the Hunting Lane project, part of the comprehensive permit hearing. Gino was there, I believe John and Addie Mae were there too, and I was there. Does anyone want to start off and report on what you heard, or is there anything that we should know from that meeting?
I can start, I guess.
Yeah, please do.
Well, a couple of items came out of it. Again, it wasn't really a very long or too detailed of a meeting, but there was a letter from Concom with some issues and the peer reviewer, Tetra Tech, was asked to respond to that letter, which they actually had just done this afternoon. I haven't seen their responses yet, but I did see that it came in. They were needed to get it before the next meeting, which is next week on the 28th. Also, one of their concerns was about the amount of impervious surface and the disturbance in the buffer zone with the detention basins and such, and if there was a way to reduce those detention basins and the disturbance in the buffer zone. And Baystone was going to revise the plan to add more plantings in the buffer zone and reduce the parking space size in order to reduce impervious surface. And those are about the major things that I recall that came out of that.
Oh, this is the Coolidge Crossing.
Coolidge Crossing, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
okay, yeah. I was thinking Hunting Lane for the moment, but yeah, Coolidge Crossing. That's pretty much what I heard too. It's a little hard to keep all these peer reviewers straight. The peer reviewer for the developer is one person. The peer reviewer for the town is Tetra Tech.
Yes.
And then does Concom have its own review in addition to that?
Well, that was from the previous meeting. It was noted that there had been a recent court decision that said 40B projects had to obtain their comprehensive permit prior to submitting a notice of intent to Conservation Commission. So Baystone withdrew their notice of intent, and therefore Concom could not hire their own peer reviewer of those issues until, they will be able to do that once a comprehensive permit is issued, and then it goes back to them. So in lieu of that, they provided this letter of their concerns, and the ZBA peer reviewer was reviewing those concerns and submitted that letter today, which I haven't read yet.
Okay, thanks. That helps to clarify. I found that discussion rather confusing, before the NOI or after the NOI or whatever. Courtney, maybe you can help. I see your hand is up.
Thanks, Marion. I just wanted to ask Gino, could you forward along that response from Tetra Tech?
Sure.
That would be fantastic. It may have already gone to Neil or whoever, but
I don't think it has, but I think it's just gone to ZBA at this point.
that would be fantastic, because one of our concerns was whether we would have time to review it in time, for the next ZBA hearing. So that's good news that it's here early. Thank you.
That
No,
is,
Gino summarized it very well, so I don't really have much to add.
oh, good. Thank you, Courtney. And I assume this letter there's nothing secret about this letter. Courtney could share it with the entire Concom. And
Oh yeah, I will.
yeah. Okay.
We are without an agent right now, so we are kind of scrambling to do different tasks. So
Yes, I understand. Yeah, that's difficult. Okay. There also, I think since our last meeting has been a ZBA hearing on, I want to just say something about the Coolidge Crossing thing. It's been very much focused on groundwater and stormwater. But I wonder, I'm really asking the board and Gino here. I'm still concerned about the lack of pedestrian access in and out of that entire development. I know that a walking route along Coolidge is difficult, maybe possible in the direction of the town. They didn't really want to hear about it when we brought it up before. Almost impossible in the direction towards Speen Street because of that bridge. And also there is pedestrian access if they want to get to Speen Street through the EA development, assuming that happens. to Meadowbrook, and then on the Natick neighborhood streets to Pond Street. That gets them to Bean Street actually in a safer way. But I'm just concerned about, in general, the Coolidge Crossing, that whole pair of developments is pedestrian wise kind of landlocked. And I think I'll bring it up later in my reports with meetings of other boards, but it would be, I've been wondering whether the planning board should weigh in again. You know, it was a little bit brushed off last time. It was not considered an important component. And they proposed a stone dust bypass of the emergency access gate at the back of the property, so pedestrians could get around the emergency gate and get onto the roads on the other property. But I would like to see just it be more pedestrian friendly in general. And I'm wondering if the rest of the planning board joins me in that, or do you think it's a lost cause?
Well, I can, this is John, I can say that the idea of putting in a trail, that idea was agreed to by the original developer. And it was not, the trail was to comply with a dirt trail kind of standards and referencing a standard that was used by other trails. I can't think of, I'm blanking right now. I grabbed my wrong notebook. But in any case, it was not ADA or anything like that compliant, but the idea of a trail paralleling Coolidge, there were a couple of major obstacles, including a rock outcropping that goes right to the edge of the road. And then, as you mentioned, the brook itself and how to cross that wet area. But also it was on the town's, it was the town's responsibility to provide solutions to those obstacles and to get all the permitting, the design and permitting in order. Then the developer would basically run a small bulldozer or something and build this trail. So it wasn't a great, there weren't, and there aren't great solutions.
As opposed to some man-made wall with mortar in it. And any water that gets in the mortar is going to freeze and break and crack. And
Paul Finger, I think there you go.
Yeah. So the original concept was a good idea, but we could still pursue that. I think complete streets it's a much bigger task than I think was envisioned. But bits and pieces can be done. In the meanwhile, I do think the access going through the back street, going Meadowbrook to into the back streets is for a bicycle, that's great. It's better. For a walker, because it's not a direct route, it's a longer walk. So I still think pursuing a pedestrian trail along the side of Coolidge in both directions is a good long-term goal. How to do it with this project and optimize this is a task, but I think it's well worth discussing to see what can be done. As I think the issue of the bus stop, I think those are things that help connect it to town and connect it to to the other good areas, like to connect to Framingham and Natick. I think those are good goals.
Right. I mean, I'm just wondering. It was when we talked about the roadside trail along Coolidge last time. Their response was, "Well, that was that was a Trask proposal for the it doesn't, it was for the EA proposal actually originally for Trask and doesn't affect us." but I think it's worth just reiterating. I'm also concerned about just the pedestrian routes within the project itself, within Coolidge Crossing itself. For example, the connection via that emergency road to the Pulte development next door. I think it's rather poor to just put in a little bypass around a gate. And you have to cross a parking lot to get there. I mean, I just think they need to give that more attention altogether. Anyway, maybe I'll try to draft something.
Yeah, I guess conceptually, I think I'm okay with a campus kind of atmosphere where walking in the street or something where someone driving their car should be expecting humans to be out in the street. And I think commingling is not a bad way. And in something like this, I think trying to build sidewalks for everything, it might feel safer to somebody, but I think it should, if the feeling is of a community, then I'm not I'm okay thinking that it's okay to the idea of commingling it's not like there's any fast traffic or through traffic.
Yeah, Chris.
Well, I agree with both of you a little bit. I think we should continue the discussion because when this was presented to the town, that was a part of, and some people probably looked at it and if they didn't like it, maybe they accepted it more because of the walkability and because of these things. We don't know. I think to remove it and just pretend like, well, they didn't want it, let's just leave it alone. I think that's wrong because maybe, that path along Coolidge Street, maybe it'll never get done, but maybe there'll be a better compromise that will benefit the people, number one. Number two, when you say commingle, John, I think the world of you. Are you talking pedestrians and cars? Like,
yeah.
Okay. I don't like that idea. So I think we're better, especially on Coolidge Street. I think we're better off separating. Typically the pedestrians always lose.
I
So anyhow.
don't think John meant on Coolidge Street, Chris. I don't think anyone in their right mind would do that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm okay herding cows or something on Coolidge, but not humans.
Okay.
I meant inside the development itself.
That's fine. Yeah, okay. I'll back off of that comment.
Okay, well, we'll take this up again or not a little later. But right now, let's go to our first hearing. It's 7:30, and we have a scheduled.
Otherwise, we let that information get to them.
We have a scheduled scenic road hearing for 11 Farm Road. Gino, would you share your screen and present the material that was sent to us for this scenic road hearing? Just to remind people who aren't aware of the Scenic Road Act and our responsibility in this, I think most people here know, but the planning board is charged with, I should say, enforcing the state scenic road bylaw. So we don't have, it's not our own bylaw, it's not a town bylaw, it's a state bylaw. So it is the job of the planning board in this really has nothing to do with the sidewalk or the pavement or a new driveway or anything like that. It's simply the preservation of the stone walls along our scenic roads and the preservation of trees within the town right-of-way. Gino, let's take a look at this project. Incidentally, this work was already done and the owners were not aware that they needed to apply for a scenic road hearing, but now they are aware. And
Marion, may I ask a question?
sure.
It seems as if obviously things are being taken out of order. Was there a some like a professional person that designed this before it was done?
Maybe Mr. Mula can answer that question. Mr. Mula, you are representing the owners of the property, is that correct?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Maybe you can tell us how it all happened.
Okay. Well, my name's Attorney Jack Mueller. I'm representing Matthew and Ariel Tufts. They are the owners of the property at 11 Farm Road. They purchased the property late in 2019. Did some history on the property and noticed that it had once been used as a two-family or a one-family with an accessory unit. So in the context of their planning, they actually were planning to have a baby, and so they were thinking about making expanded use of the property when it was decided that they would apply for a special permit for a accessory housekeeping unit. They hired counsel, appeared in front of the Board of Appeals, and received permission for an accessory housekeeping unit. And that would be, if you're looking at the property from Farm Road, that would be to the right side of the existing structure.
Yes, I think, just to interrupt you a bit, we are aware of that part of the story.
Okay.
And zoning board has approved that housekeeping unit, and we approve the housekeeping unit because we want more, alternative ways for people to be able to stay in town, have more ways to live in town. So this hearing is focused entirely, since there were no trees involved in the redesign, we're focused entirely on the stone walls.
Okay. Well, the stone walls were existing stone walls. There were two existing driveways. The one to the west, as you look at the house, serviced the main portion of the house. The one to the right actually was, it had a picket fence. There you go. It had a white picket opening. You can see the area of asphalt that extended into the street. That area now was expanded so that on the right side where that white picket fence is, there was removed approximately 2 to 2.5 foot section of those stones when they ran the new asphalt to the walkway in the accessory unit. In addition, on the west driveway, a portion of the stone wall was removed from the east granite marker. There you go. The east granite marker extending, the west granite marker extending east. A portion of the stone wall was removed to provide access directly from the street to the front door of the main living unit. In addition, any stones that were removed have been utilized in the existing stone wall. I think the small picture on the screen shows a lot of nuisance and overgrowth on the portion of the wall that was mainly in front of the accessory unit. That overgrowth was removed, and the wall under the overgrowth, as well as closer to the west driveway, the integrity of that wall was compromised somewhat, that they utilized portions of the removed wall to take the remaining wall and be able to repair the remaining wall east, as well as the turn down the east driveway to all the way to the walkway servicing the front door to the accessory unit.
Yeah, thank you. You know, one thing that's been a little, we have, also we have our own pretty good pictures. Eddie May has before and after pictures. I have before and after pictures. So we have a pretty good picture of what it was like before and what's been done. Basically, looking at your scenic road application to the planning board, I didn't see a description, actually, a clear description of the two areas of stone wall that were removed or altered. One at the new driveway to the accessory apartment, and the other, the main driveway of the house.
I believe my application was deficient in that you will only read repairs to stone wall, paving on existing driveway and sidewalk, and then the line runs out. What I had done is added removal of a portion of the wall adjacent to the west driveway in front of the main entrance. That, however, appeared on the back of the application, and it did not go through because I scanned them and sent them to you. So the application that you have would be deficient, and it did not mention the removal of the portion to the west driveway.
Oh, well, thanks for clarifying that, because I was surprised that it was missing.
No, that's my error completely for being a meatball for not putting it in the front or.
About how many feet of stone wall on the west driveway were removed? On the west side, not the west driveway, but the west front of the house were removed to put in the new walkway.
I'm sorry.
A portion of the stone wall directly in front of the house, from the main driveway going east, was removed to make a new walkway to the house. How many feet of that stone wall was removed? Do you know how many linear feet?
Yes, I'm told it's about 11 feet. Excuse me, 11 yards.
Yeah, that sounds 11 yards. That sounds about right.
I think it's 31 odd and change feet, but 11 yards was the whole figure that they used. That portion did not have the overgrowth. However, it was the worst shape. The wall was in the worst shape there. It had a 2-level sidewalk, a walkway that existed about 7 or 8 feet into the driveway that went parallel to the front of the home. And then it had a riser at only about 4 inches, followed by other brick pavers, which were all uneven, through a tree that was placed there. And then it took a hard left into the front door. In the context of the removal of the stump, the walkway came up, and that's when the decision was made to have the walkway extend not only over to the driveway, but also to come out to the front of the house. And there is where they failed to notify you prior to removing that portion of the wall and the walkway.
So we don't have a plan, a schematic of that, the existing condition and the new condition of that walkway. I couldn't, your scan is not very clear. Honestly, it was very hard to see what you're trying to show there.
I wonder if I can send this to you. I went there yesterday and took a new picture.
I mean, just, we have plenty of pictures. I think between, a couple of us planning board members have taken pictures, and we have the Google Maps from 2019, the Google Street Views, and we have enough pictures. We know exactly, kind of what's been done, but the scan that are you showing that, Gino? Is that your screen we're seeing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't really read this very well.
You can't read it. And I you know, even enlarging it on my computer screen, I still couldn't read it. I couldn't tell whether it was, you know, what was existing, what was before. So I'm not sure how to handle this. We know what was actually done.
What is that plan? I mean, is that the plan that they drew up to in their landscape design plan, or what is this plan that we're looking at?
I believe that plan, the X marks where the work was, but that plan was something on file with the town when they had to install a new septic system. It was mainly to show the driveway to the right. So as you look at it, the X closest to the bottom of the page, that existed. I believe the date of that plan was the 80s. There was some talk to my clients that they had created that driveway and that driveway did not exist. So we felt it was important to include a plan that was on file with the town showing that that driveway, although it was not being used because the accessory housekeeping unit was not being used at the time, that the driveway still did exist. They did remove a portion of that wall to the east when they decided to asphalt that driveway.
Okay, so, you know, in the absence of a clear before and after plan, I think we just have to rely on what we've seen and your measurements. I think I'd have to defer to Gino or maybe John, who have done these scenic road hearings before. Should we ask for a clear plan, or I think we know what the issues are. Maybe we should just enumerate the issues that we have to resolve. We have 2 driveway openings, and we have the driveway on the east that's been enlarged somewhat. I mean, it's the pavement or not pavement is not a planning board issue, but the stone wall has been enlarged. And let me just. Some stone wall has been removed. You know, rereading the rules and regs for stone walls and scenic roads. Correct me, Gino, I believe they do have the ability with a driveway to enlarge the opening 3 feet, a maximum of 3 feet on each side. Is that correct?
Yeah, that the rules and regulations for scenic roads say that the maximum width of the opening should be no more than 3 feet on each side of the driveway. Plus, there's also it can't be more than, I want to say 20 feet total. It might be 18, but I think it's 20. But yes, it's 3 feet on each side. You're correct.
So let's just talk about the east driveway first. In your view, Gino or John or anyone else on planning board, is this removal of part of the stone wall acceptable in the light of that driveway?
Well, I guess I'm a little bit torn here. We've had this issue before with people asking for a driveway cut and kind of wondering which should come first, the planning board weighing in on the stone wall removal, or whether the application for a driveway. And we kind of, in the last time this came up, it seemed that the application for a driveway should come up first, because if it's not granted, then definitely the stone wall shouldn't be removed. And now we're kind of back to the same situation here. I don't know if Gino or Sean.
Yeah, Sean, maybe Sean could weigh in here on the driveway issue.
Well, there hasn't been a driveway permit applied for. So as far as DPW is concerned, there's no driveway permit. And there wasn't a driveway there to begin with.
There was, from the pictures, it looks like there was a sort of grassy area that may have been used as a driveway at some point, but it wasn't.
Well, there's, all due respect, there's lots of grassy areas in Sherborn used as driveways, but they aren't curb cuts. A curb cut's a curb cut, and that doesn't constitute as a curb cut.
Mhm.
That's not a driveway, nor, I mean, the abutter has the same exact issue, where they have a lower entrance to their barn, but that's not a driveway, nor can they use that as a driveway. They can't pave it. It's not a curb cut.
Well, I would respectfully disagree. I know this matter went to town council and we were not advised and didn't feel the need to apply for a curb cut or a driveway permit because it did exist. The entire second unit needed access and egress. And as you can clearly see from the pictures, you have stone posts on either side, as well as you have asphalt extending from the driveway over the right-of-way area to the road. And in addition to the plans, I think it's clear that a driveway, although there's the top picture that shows the asphalt out from the sidewalk over the right-of-way right to the road. There's no need to apply for curb cuts or driveway permits since it was pre-existing, servicing the dwelling to the right. We did, in fact, obviously asphalt that area, but I don't think the issue of a driveway was needed. So we respectfully disagree with Mr. Colleen.
You'll concede there's a gate there, right?
Yeah. Yeah, there's.
That's not a driveway, right?
Well, whether there's a gate or not doesn't tell you whether it's a driveway or not. I mean, I can see.
What's on the back side of the gate?
Oh, right.
Grass?
It looks like there is a sort of apron there from the road. From the gate.
Well,
But,
if you'll go east on Farm Road, that you have the same condition that was created in front of the next house, but the next house down the road does not have two driveways.
Okay.
I don't know who paved the apron, but that's not a legal curb cut. I mean, there's plenty of farms in town that have multiple curb cuts, but that does not create multiple driveways,
Okay. I mean,
especially on scenic roads. You need to enforce the scenic road conditions, and there isn't a second driveway on that property.
Marion, may I make a couple of comments, please?
Yes, please do.
This is situations like this is why everyone hates being on town boards. The reality is, if we were asked prior to having any work done, would we agree to 90% of it? I would probably say no. I can't speak for the entire board. We would not allow that. I mean, I've been driving past that house for probably 30 years and I've never seen a car on the other side of that fence. It doesn't mean it was never, someone didn't put a car there. But I can guarantee you we never would have approved the removal of that much wall. So we have a situation, what do you do here? And, in fairness to everyone else that follows the procedures and work with us multiple times replacing a small sectional wall because they have to remove a tree, or just improving the looks of something. I mean, I'm glad I'm not the chair. I'm glad I'm not the chair. So
Okay. Your point's well taken, Chris. We all feel exactly like that, caught between a rock and a hard place, because in this case, we really want to be even-handed with everyone in town. However, they have applied for and gotten permission to have an accessory apartment on that side.
There was an accessory apartment there for years.
Yes.
So So that's not something new. There's been an accessory apartment there for probably 20 years that I know of, because I've known two people that have lived there. So yes, I don't mean to interrupt, but that's not a new factor here.
Oh, no, it's not a new factor, but just trying to take everything into account, we, in a general way, we would support the idea of a young couple being able to live in town by making an accessory apartment, which is now legal here, and being able to afford to stay in the town because they have this accessory apartment. So they did that. And now the tenants, once they have them, will want a place to park. So they figured there was a driveway there, or somebody pulled cars in on the grass there, if you like. So let's go ahead and do it. But you're right, but it's done now. So,
but again, the question that has to be asked is, if this was presented to us prior to any work done, would you say go ahead? Or would you say, I have some serious reservations about multiple parts of this? And I'm not looking to pick a fight with anyone. I'm just, again, these are things that we would prefer never have to deal with. But at the same time, we have to be fair. We run into these things all the time beforehand, and inputs given, it goes back and forth, multiple meetings, compromises are made. And typically at the end, we feel good. The people doing the project feel good. And
yeah, exactly.
I hate to say it, my gut feeling, and I don't want people to hate me, my gut feeling would be return it to the way it was. And I'm not saying that's how I would vote, but those are my feelings. So I'll be quiet now.
No, you should weigh in. Yeah. I mean, if they had presented this to us in advance, I would have seriously considered perhaps to allow them to have an accessory apartment that's functional.
But see, that was already there, and it was functional, and the people parked on the other side. They parked to the left of the house. I mean, that was already there. So the accessory apartment, again, with all respect, Marion, I don't think that's a new factor in this.
Right, and the accessory apartment has access even if you park in the main driveway.
That's where they parked before for 20 years.
Yep.
Okay. Well,
20 years of my knowledge.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, just for the record, the accessory apartment was in fact approved by the Board of Appeals. And because of the new bylaw in 2019, they would not have been able to operate that without the bylaw. So I don't have a history over the last 20 or 30 years that the board member does. I do know that my client certainly had no intent to deceive anyone. They went ahead and applied for that at the time. Unfortunately, they were not notified then or thereafter with building permits about the Scenic Road Act. Not an excuse. They entirely did this work. They were unaware. However, I think overriding evidence is clear that there existed asphalt prior to them even purchasing the house. During the time that member Chris states he has friends there, that asphalt existed prior to my clients acquiring the property. It was certainly disclosed on plans previously filed with the town. The bylaw, the scenic bylaw, does give you the right to remove 3 feet on either side of the driveway. The only question here is, did that driveway exist? And I think that answer is clear in terms of this east driveway, and it does serve the accessory unit only. And I think we'd rather have the parking in that driveway than having 4 or 5 cars over in the driveway to the left, especially where that's where additional work was done and recently reached in proceedings with Conservation Commission. I don't believe we want anyone to do any type of additional work over there to have any more motor vehicles on that side, having completed what we did with conservation. So I think the driveway to the east, because of the provision allowing the 3 foot on either side to be removed, I think that's one that I would hope the board would see that that would remain as is. And on the left side, there is a question because of the removal, although the field stone was used to repair walls on the property, there clearly was a section removed that now has the opening of the sidewalk directly in the front door to the sidewalk. And, there was no previous permission for that one.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to resolve whether that was a driveway or should have been a driveway or is a driveway at this meeting. I mean, that's, I think the Scenic Road Act does limit, though, the cutting of new curb cuts. Is that right? And can I ask you, Gino, the curb cut and the driveway itself, is that a planning board issue or is that DPW or someone else?
Curb cut is definitely DPW.
That's what I thought. So, I can see both sides, but I don't think we're going to resolve it tonight. Let's say, for example, that driveway turns out to be an illegal driveway. I don't know if it will or not. I'm not weighing in on that, but just saying, let's say it is determined to be an illegal driveway. In that case, they've removed some stone wall ostensibly for no reason. So I guess the removal of the stone wall is predicated on whether or not it's a legal driveway. Is that correct? Because if that's not a driveway, they couldn't have changed the stone wall on that opening.
Right. The reason to allow increasing the opening on the stone wall would be, I mean, they would have presented that as to widen the driveway. That would have been the justification. It's possible that there might have been some other type of justification for expanding the opening, but I can't think of what it might be right now.
Yeah, I couldn't see anything in the Scenic Road Act. It was basically conditional on a driveway expansion or a new driveway. So I think we have to put that aside for now, pending the decision on that driveway. And Chris, is that you?
Yes. I think we really need to have detailed plans in front of us to have a more thorough discussion.
I agree. This is very difficult to have without the detailed plans in front of us that are readable and visible and relevant to our work as defenders of the Scenic Road Act. So I'd really like to hear from other planning board members, but I would like to have better visuals brought to the board and sent to us in advance so that we can understand exactly what the thinking is. And I have to say, the removal of the west part of the stone wall adjacent to the main driveway, in my view, is a little harder to justify. I mean, overgrowth of greenery is in itself not a justification. And if the stone wall was not in great shape, that's not a justification either. Because, stone walls greenery is easily cut back and stone walls are easily repaired. So the question is, was it a safety issue or some other kind of issue? Because we note that the lawn in front of the main house adjacent to the west driveway has been graded in a completely different way down to the road. So it's not only a sidewalk issue, it's a kind of aesthetic issue, it seems to me, that was done in front of the house. And I think we have to discuss that as a separate thing.
Marianne, may I ask a procedural question, please?
Right, yes, please.
I think with something like this, I would really like, if possible, to have the entire board in on the discussion. It's school vacation week, so Will's not around. What would we need to do to get him up to speed so he could potentially, and I don't even know if legally we can do it, but potentially be part of future discussions? Maybe, I don't know if Gino has the answer to that. Maybe Will can't be a part of it at all, but I think it would be, I would very much value his input as well.
He can miss one meeting as long as he reviews this recording of the Zoom meeting and review all the materials that were submitted, and then he can participate in a future hearing. But he can only.
Could I be so bold to make a request, Gino, that you make sure that he gets this? Just so, I just want to make, it would just be nice to have an entire board a part of this conversation.
And also, it would be really useful to have clear plans, clear before and after. We're going on the photographs and pictures that don't really show it very clearly. So I'd like to propose to Mr. Mula that they submit some clear plans and a description of what was actually done and why, more clearly, that's really focused on the scenic road hearing and not the septic or some other issue.
Yes, we are in agreement to submit more detailed plans and explanation and before and after photos.
That would be great. And, you know, if you're going to scan them, use a good scanner so we can actually see what's on the page. That would be great.
Okay.
Sue Tyler. Sue, unmute. There you go.
I'm getting there. Hi, Susan Tyler, Weston Avenue. I'm on the Traffic Safety Committee. And I've driven by this since this house for many, many years. But I'm very concerned about what's happened to the sidewalk in front of this whole property. It's been paved in such a way that it appears to be excess parking. And they have eliminated, the parking goes from the very base of this stone wall out to the road. And so I'd be curious as to what are the town's right-of-ways. They have paved and done construction on town property. They've eliminated what should be a green strip. It may not be the perfect manicured lawn out front there, but they've eliminated that little strip so that the pedestrian walking on the sidewalk, it gives you a little buffer from the pavement of the road. And that's been eliminated. And I haven't heard any discussion. Everyone's talking about they took 3 feet from the east side of this driveway and 3 feet from that. But they put in a center sidewalk up to the side that never existed.
That's a good point, and we recognize that, but that's not a planning board issue.
Well, that's if they moved the stone wall to put in that new walkway to the center of the house that never existed since 1852, they removed some more footage of a scenic stone wall.
Yes, that's right.
Not addressed.
Yeah, that's right. That's what we're getting to. As far as the paving of the sidewalk over the town right-of-way, you're absolutely right. And Sean, I'm sure, would have plenty to say about it, but and his hand is up. Let's let Sean weigh in. Go ahead, Sean. You need to unmute. There you go. Sean, can you unmute?
Sorry, you still there?
Yep.
Can you hear me now?
Go ahead.
I've had my hand up for a while, so I'm not sure why I raised it, but if you, in the picture that Gino's sharing right now, if you look just to the east, Charlotte Giovanella's curb cut is in the picture. I don't think anyone would even imagine that there's 2 curb cuts and 2 driveways allowed for the house next door.
Hmm.
So, you know, as far as the DPW is concerned, I don't care if that's a 1-family, 2-family, or a 5-family. There isn't 2 driveways there. Neither is there at Charlotte Giovanella's. I don't know who paved the grass strip. I don't really care. But that's not a legal curb cut. So that might be a story for a different night, but there is an issue with the sidewalk. There's an issue with the sidewalk being repaved.
Mhm.
And you guys need to think long and hard about that when you consider that driveway that's not really there, just because the grass strip was paved over. Somebody did that. I don't know. I don't know if they were part of the DPW 10, 15 years ago when that got done, but that wasn't done recently. And there's curb cuts all over town like that have been done, but that doesn't make them a second driveway to the backside, low side, or anything else to a property.
Okay,
So
thanks, Sean.
that shouldn't be considered, but that gate is part of that stone wall and it needs to be protected. And that is the legal boundary to the street unless anyone can prove otherwise.
Yeah, that's right.
And I want to reiterate that the plan should show a full topo of the road, the lane width, and the sidewalk and the grass strip that was removed. So it may not all apply to the planning board, but it applies to the DPW. And I'm not signing off on a driveway permit, and you guys should know that I'm not signing off on a driveway permit until that's all shown on a plan.
Mhm.
Because that would be expected of any piece of property in town. And this is a new driveway. There's never been 2 driveways to that property.
Mhm.
So part of this scenic road hearing should be a second driveway to that property that's never existed.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you, Sean, and thank you, Sue. I think the consensus is that the applicant is going to have to come back with clear plans and existing condition plans and plans showing exactly what was done so that we can talk about this rationally. Yeah, that looks like, so Sean, just to clarify, you're saying that the paving over the green strip, if there ever was one, all the way to the street was done prior to the Tufts buying the property?
No, I'm saying the Tufts did that.
Oh, okay. I wasn't clear on that.
The driveway was added and the sidewalk was added all the way to the Cape Cod berm.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it's new, but
And I don't know that there was a 3-foot grass strip. There wasn't. That property, for some reason, is closer to the road than the other properties.
right. If you look,
The grass strip was slightly less, but I have no way of knowing whether it was 3 feet, 1.5 feet, or 2 feet. But it's 0 now. You
it's-
can't have a sidewalk against a Cape Cod berm. That's not legal in the state of Mass. You need
yeah.
either a vertical curb or 3-foot grass strip, one or the other.
Okay, it looks like here from the previous pictures that there was a vertical curb but no grass strip. At least that's what I'm seeing here.
Mhm.
Well, there was a grass strip towards Giovanella's and there's a grass strip towards the driveway on the upper section. And there certainly is in front of the fire station.
Oh,
Mhm.
yes, but taking a look at the upper picture here, I don't know if you can make it any bigger.
Yeah, you'd have to go to the left on that picture. Nevertheless, it doesn't give anyone, I mean, no one has the right to just improve the town's
Yeah, sidewalk. or-
sidewalk.
Right.
Otherwise, they have to do the entire street. So it doesn't really matter, but something needs to be done to rectify it.
I think it matters a lot where you're, Mr. Colleen, you're alleging that my clients did something they did not do. Prior to purchasing that house, it's pretty clear that grass strip was not there. In addition, it was pretty clear that the asphalt extended from the property line down to the street. So I'd respectfully ask you to refrain from making statements when clearly the evidence shows otherwise.
Well, we have other pictures that show a grass strip in front of the house.
Well, please.
It's just
bring
not
them.
in that one.
These are Google 2019, so unless someone was able to convince Google, my clients certainly weren't responsible for anything to do with removal of any grass portions. to the left or right. You can clearly see in the picture that the grass area remains to the east of the area that they paved over, and that there was no grass area going from the east driveway all the way down to the property line on the west.
So we'll concede that they paved the town's sidewalk.
I'm just asking you to take back your statements and stop offering things that alleging that my clients did things which they did not do.
Well, they paved the sidewalk.
Right.
They paved the sidewalk without a permit.
Mr. Colleen, if you're going to testify, I'll allow you to speak. Please allow me to speak.
Both of you, I want to step in here because, above all, there's no reason not to be calm and respectful of whatever. The evidence is out there in photos from 2019, in current photos, and we need clear plans. Mr. Muller, if the paving went all the way to the street in 2019, show us pictures that clearly show it. And Sarah Tipton, could you mute your audio? Excuse me, Sarah.
I don't know how to do it.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Marion, may I ask a question when it's appropriate?
Yeah, you can. I just want to say first that let's make sure that we have all the facts straight first, and that we have clear plans. And I think it's maybe good to take a step back here and define the questions that we need answers and what the major issues are here, and take them one at a time. So Elizabeth, go ahead.
Yeah, so I understand that our concern on the planning board is with the stone wall, the preservation of the stone wall, and I am also understanding that the picket fence is included in the stone wall, if I'm correct in that understanding.
I'm not sure about that. It may be, I'd have to, maybe Sean knows more than I do, and Gina might be able to help us on this, but I'm not sure about it.
Well, I'll just ask my question, which is that upon receipt of more detailed plans, kind of looking forward at logistics, if the planning board was to decide that they did not approve what was already done to the stone wall, in a project that's already been completed, what would be the sort of normal recourse to rectify the situation? If that's a question that can even be answered.
All right, Gina, correct me, or John, correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that the applicant would have to undo what they did.
Can't hear you. I can't hear you, Marion.
That the applicant would have to replace the stone wall and basically undo the work that they did, unless they can come up with some sort of partial compromise in which they improve the stone wall, for example, in some other area, or make a compromise that retains the scenic road. But there's quite a bit of stone wall removed here, so they're likely going to have to replace it, rebuild it.
To answer Elizabeth's question, under the rules and regulations on page 66, under enforcement 10.1 will answer her question.
Can you read it to us, Chris?
Oh boy, I don't want to read the whole thing. It sounds terrible.
No.
But basically it says we can make them put the wall back.
Exactly, that's what I was trying to say. That's exactly right.
But to answer Elizabeth's question, page 66.
Of the rules and regulations.
Correct.
Yeah, 10.1.
Correct.
Mr. Muller, you can refer your clients to that as well.
Thank you.
John, would you like to comment? You've been.
Yeah, thanks. I think the idea of getting clear before and after drawings will really help. Stay focused on what is within the town planning board's purview. So I think that's the right thing to do. Listening to it, my feeling is I can understand how the existing cut in the east side stone wall could create an assumption that, and that pavement in front of that, I think, further makes it understandable how an assumption could be made that it's a driveway. I do not think, and although I don't have it in front of me, I do not think that the gate is part of the stone wall in terms of the responsibility of the planning board. The aesthetics are. And the stone wall, in all cases on a scenic road, can serve as a important boundary or marker to delineate properties. And in some cases, it's not. But in most cases in old New England towns, it's an important legal boundary. So with that in mind, I think the west side looks to me like we need to take that carefully in mind. We do on occasion allow changes to a stone wall where it's a legal boundary and things like that, but in other cases not. And that's, as Chris said, this is a difficult job. So I think that it begins, you're very correct in saying, let's begin this with a clear drawing showing before and after in both cases, both sides of in all the affected areas. And then try to make a good decision that benefits the town and protects and does what we're responsible for by law, by state law. And then I think trying to make this a good solution for the homeowner, I think, is also a good goal. As you've stated, we certainly support affordable, accessory apartments, and it'd be nice if there's a way to work out a good solution. As Chris said, sometimes compromise is a good thing. So, but let's begin with a clear before and after drawing.
Thanks, John. Anyone else?
I guess I'll just say that I can understand potentially where someone's come in and tried to fix their house up, and it's certainly understandable thinking of trying to you look at something and say, oh, it's old and broken, let's fix it. But there's a reason why we have the Scenic Road Act, because we like the charm of our small New England towns, and we like the stone walls, and we find value in them for historical reasons. So again, it's going to be a weighing of compromises, but it's also in the interest of being fair, because we've certainly had many hearings with many others who are trying to do much smaller wall changes for very clear reasons, with multiple hearings and multiple plans drawn, presented. So I think in this situation, that's where a lot of the frustration is coming from. That we know the owners of this house have no idea of kind of the context, perhaps, of what we've heard over years. So it's understandable that they feel they did nothing wrong, but it's a challenge.
Right. Thanks, Addie. So I think for now we should continue this hearing. And I'll wait for some clearer drawings and a more complete application explaining more clearly the reason for the changes in both stone walls. I think that the driveway cut was clearly explained. The removal of 30 feet of stone wall on the west side was, the need for that was not as clear. So, Mr. Mueller, if you would take this back to your clients, the Tufts, and see if we can find some way to resolve this at a future session of this hearing. So I think the proper thing to do, Gino, is to continue the hearing at this point. And then we'll just wait for the best date when we have all the information and it's convenient for everyone. This isn't an emergency because the work has already been done. It's a matter of how to resolve it fairly.
Well, two things. One, it looks like a new hand is being raised, but in terms of continuing, it does have to be continued to a specific date and time. We can't just say it's continued until we get the further information. We could always continue it to, say, the next meeting or whenever we think the information will be ready. And if it's not ready, then just continue it again.
All right, then let's continue it. Yeah, I misspoke because I know that's the case. So let's continue it to the next meeting. Arbitrarily, I'll say it's 7:30 is a good time. And in the meantime, we hope we get more information. Yeah, John.
I just say, let's ask the applicant if they think they'll be ready. If they think they will not be ready, then why bother continuing to the next meeting? You know, just
true. It doesn't have to be the next one.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, Mr. Muller, would you prefer to have a 2-week interval, or I believe our next meeting is in about 2 weeks, or a 4-week interval? Tell us what kind of time you think you need.
Well, I think 30 days may be enough. I don't think we could get additional surveyors out there measuring the property to the extent of detail that you wanted. Goodness, it took us over 90 days just to get someone out there for conservation. Unfortunately, I don't think 2 weeks will do it, but I will certainly push and use best efforts to make sure we can get back with detailed plans for 4 weeks or 30 days from now, if there's a meeting during that time.
Yes, there is. And, you know, I note that you won't have to start from scratch. You already have a plan that I think I could see on your scanned documents that looked like something close to what we need, that could simply be added to and enhanced a bit. Our next meeting is May 4th. The second meeting in May is May 18th. So we'll continue the hearing to May 18th. That's slightly less than 30 days. That's more like 28 days, but will that work, Mr. Muller?
Yes.
All right, so let's continue this to May 18th at 7:30.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Sean, for your input too. Okay. We also have, we're only 45 minutes late on this, the Meadowbrook Acres definitive subdivision hearing that is being continued until the next date, whenever that is. Gina, we have no idea when they're coming back with a revised definitive plan.
No, they asked when the next meeting was, and I told them May 4th, and they didn't object to that. So I guess I would say continue it to May 4th.
Okay, let's continue to May 4th. I think we better leave a half hour for this scenic road hearing, though, if this is this is
Yeah,
not
but no, that's the 18th. Yeah.
That's the 18th. So we can do this on May 4th. Shall we say 7:30? Yes, John.
I just have a procedural question. Do we need to vote for the continuation of the scenic road hearing and for this continuation of this hearing?
Oh, thank you. Thanks for the prompt. Let's vote for the continuation of the scenic road hearing first. Do I have a motion?
So
I move to continue the scenic road hearing for 11 Farm Road to May 18th at 7:30.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
second.
Okay, all in favor, Chris,
Aye.
Addie,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
and I'm I. So it's May 18th at 7:30. Thanks. And for the Meadowbrook Acres definitive subdivision hearing, we're continuing to our next meeting, which is May
4th.
4th. Do I have a motion?
Motion to continue the Meadowbrook subdivision hearing to May 4th, 7:30.
Okay,
I'll second that.
and all in favor, Chris,
Aye.
Addie May,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
and I'm I. So 7:30, May 4th. Okay. We were before talking about updates on ongoing and potential development projects. There has been a ZBA hearing also for the Hunting Lane property last week, I believe, or was it 2 weeks ago? Gino, I don't remember if that was before or after our last meeting.
After.
Okay. Do you have notes on that? Gino?
Oh, no, it was the 15th. We met on the 16th, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
right.
it was before. So on the Hunting Lane 40B and the 41 North Main 40B, there is a site visit this Thursday at 5 o'clock. And the public is not invited, but members of boards are invited. So I think they want you to notify Jeannie Guthrie if you plan to attend, though. So they have some sort of a head count. And the last I saw in the emails going around was that if there's only a very few people, they'll park up at the 31 Hunting Main driveway. But if there are more than just a couple people, more than just the ZBA, others should park on North Main Street. It could be at the former spa property, which is also a Lebarsky property, or anywhere back there, I guess. And I don't yet know where they're going to start the site walk. Do you know, Gino, if they're going to start at 41 North Main or at the Hunting Lane? I think probably Hunting Lane.
Yeah, that's the focus. That's where they're staking out the properties.
Okay. The abutters and a butter on Hunting Lane sent a summary of their concerns around because they are not invited to this site walk. Gina, was that forwarded to everyone? Or maybe I should ask.
I don't remember if I know I got it. I don't know that I forwarded it.
Oh, that's something that everyone can see, right?
Yes, it's public record.
So a Hunting Lane abutter, and I should say abutters because, you know, it's John Garrison and Paul Bociccio and Craig Mills that are sort of leading that group, put out a list of observations that they would like to have made during that site walk. Some of those are relevant to planning board and some of them aren't. But I think it might be good to forward that to the planning board, whether or not they're on the site walk. It's just good to have the abutters input. Does anyone else plan to go on Thursday at 5?
May I ask who's planning on going? There should be at least one of us or two of us there, correct?
Yeah.
Are you going, Marion?
Yes, I'm planning to go.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm planning to go as well.
You know, how about you, John?
No. This is John. I cannot make it.
Okay.
I would like to, but I assume I need to make sure I'm sworn in by then, so I qualify. Do you think as an associate member I'm invited?
Sure.
I don't see why not.
Okay.
So get sworn in and
I will.
maybe knowing that this many people are going, we should plan to park on North Main Street, either at the spa or I guess we could park back there, you know, in the Heritage parking lot. It's not a busy time for them.
Marion,
Um,
I suggest that a lot of people are going to go. I know from the Groundwater Protection Committee, there are 3 of us going. And I would suggest that Board of Health and COMCOM will both send numerous representatives. And I think that the idea was that the parking would be at the Sherborn Spa because it's Lebarski's property. And I don't think that people are supposed to park in other commercial parking lots for business reasons, right? So I would, and I think that the parking at the spa is going to be quite limited. So just, I think everybody should be mindful of the potential constraints.
All right. Actually, where I would park, the spa is really crowded parking. So depending on the numbers going, I should think we should be able to park not in front of the businesses, but you know, in that excess parking behind the post office.
But that's still owned by the businesses, isn't it?
What about the playground? I mean, it's a little further, but
What about Pine Hill?
At 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Oh, we could park up at Pine Hill. It's kind
Like
of
on the access road, because it's right there at the signal. So it should be pretty. Am I?
yeah, if you park along the access road.
Yeah, I would think so.
How does
I
that
think you
look?
can probably park wherever you want. I don't think anyone's going to say anything.
Yeah,
I seldom see people parking behind the post office in that area. But, you know, the Pine Hill access road would be an easy place because you can cross there and then you're right there at 21.
Yeah.
That's probably the better solution.
I mean, the town email said to park at the Sherborn Spot and then walk up to the signal to cross safely. So it seems like Pine Hill might even be closer than that.
Yeah. John,
You can put 10 to 15 bicycles in one car parking spot.
that's right.
But I agree with Chris. I think we can figure out where to park.
Yeah. Okay. So that'll be 5 o'clock and presumably we're going up to 31 North Main. So you'd probably want to get there before 5 and be up to North Main.
may I ask a question?
Sure.
If I am sworn in time and I'm allowed to go, and we can do this offline too, Marion, especially if you're going, I'm sure we'll talk while we're walking, but would it be helpful for us to come up with a short list of things that the planning board is specifically concerned about or going to be looking at? I think there's so many water issues, which seems like out of our scope, if I'm correct.
Yes.
So
May I make a comment, Elizabeth? What I would do is, yes, if you can get sworn in, that's great. If you can't, I would go anyway. I wouldn't worry about it. They're not going to say you can't go because you didn't get sworn in, number one. Number two, I think, and Gino, correct me if I'm wrong, as far as a site walk like this, I think it would be more ears open, mouth shut. That would be my sort of, and Gino, correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're right. It's not a hearing. It's meant to observe the conditions and no questions to be asked, no discussions to be held.
Especially if we have a quorum, you have to be super careful.
That's right. We are not, it's too late to post a meeting, so we definitely can't deliberate among ourselves. We'll just have to listen. But there are certain things that we've already, commented on that we should watch out for, like the proximity of the nearest house to the neighbor. I think they were going to stake the nearest house. And I think we were not able to see last time, we're not able to appreciate the proximity of the new nearest house on this latest plan to the sewage treatment plant. I think that would be a concern for the residents of the, and there also is, the abutters are concerned about the proximity of the sewage treatment plant to the nearest abutter's house. So my understanding, I think, Jano, they were going to stake the sewage treatment plant.
Correct.
So that's something to watch out for. We might look back at our previous letter that we sent them and just kind of remind ourselves of what we were concerned about before. Okay. Anything else on potential development projects? Okay, other business. Sue Tyler, your hand is up. Do you have a comment or an issue?
Nope. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. It's maybe up from before. Okay. Any citizen comments, citizen input on any issue?
Just backing up, backing up to the previous discussion, one other piece of information. There's a second peer reviewer who's going to focus on the water, the well issue, whether the wells are sufficient to serve that size of a project and what the potential impacts on the abutters wells might be. That revised proposal for that came in this afternoon, and most likely it's going to be, I sent it to Rick Novak, most likely it's going to be okay, and they'll be on board as well.
So that's in addition to the abutters peer reviewer that they got for the water guy, the Chinese, what's his name? The
Shang Wang.
Shang Wang, yeah. He gave quite a analysis of the water at the last CBA meeting that was pretty alarming, actually. So the additional peer review is for the town?
Yes.
Hired by the town?
Hired by the town, paid for by the applicant, just like the other original.
And this is not Tetra Tech?
No, the main peer reviewer on this one is PSC, not Tetra Tech. But this is in addition to the primary peer reviewer.
And
okay. This is the same hydrogeologist who worked on the fields.
I thought that was I keep forgetting his name, the Chinese guy.
No, he was Ben Stevens' consultant on the field.
Was it Scott Horsley?
No, it's Jim Vernon from Nova.
Oh yeah, Jim Vernon. Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see to what degree these various analyses coincide. Of course, they're all dealing with different bits of data because they don't have the proper pump test done yet for 41 North Main and 31 Hunting. Okay. Oh, they did schedule future ZBA meetings. I don't have them in front of me right now, but watch the town website. More ZBA meetings are coming up.
The Lebarski one is May 6th.
Oh, okay.
And the Coolidge Crossing is April 28th, next week.
Okay, great. Okay. Reports on meetings with other boards. Let me just go around the table and see who has been to other board meetings. I'll start with Addie Mae. Are there other boards that you're on, Addie Mae, that have anything new?
I don't think so. I feel very brain dead right now. I can't think of anything new going on. I mean, I guess the only thing we did post for the housing trust accepting applications for the housing trust, and we'll make that step forward. It was delayed on posting since I thought I would be able to write an advertisement for people that would be exciting and talk more about what they would be doing and why they should join the housing trust. And at the end of the day, I went, oh, just if anyone's interested, they're interested in the position because they have an interest in affordable housing, and nothing I write's going to sway them. So I just basically, it's got the language of the trust and what the trust is. And so.
Well, that's good. Where was it posted?
So it's posted. It was hard for me to find, but Diane posted it April 6th, and it's posted on, if you are on the town website and you go to boards, town committees, and boards, and then there's a tab that says board vacancies. And so every board that got a vacancy is in a list there right now. And then basically it says to reach out to Diane Moore for an application. And it's the same generic application that kind of a simple Word document. Yeah, I don't know. I guess there's enough on everyone's plate, but it seems like it'd be nice to at least have that document, something that you could click and download instead of having to send an email and ask for that application.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this brings up a number of things. I don't want to complain, but I'll complain. It's never stopped me before. It's so hard to find things on the town website. I know it has a certain logic, but it's not often my logic. And, someday maybe we'll get a website that's properly cross-referenced so that if you search for something, you don't just get, public news about it. You actually get the thing you're searching for. Anyway, enough of that. So thanks, Addie Mae. Is the housing partnership doing anything at the moment?
Housing partnership has not met since last fall, when we met to provide our support for the Coolidge Crossing as a friendly 40B LIP project. I think in general, there's just, with it being kind of an educational advisory board and feeling that the housing production plan was written, people are more aware now than they were 5 years ago on what 40Bs are and what it means.
Aware, yeah.
And kind of, it's kind of fallen a little bit. I think the goal will be to put forth a request to most likely sunset the housing partnership once the trust is established.
I mean, it wasn't only affordable housing, though. It was also diversity housing.
Right, diversity of housing, which I don't know how everyone else feels, but I feel like as a planning board, from my experience, it's been something that, as certainly has been on the agenda for MAPC meetings. So it's, affordable housing and housing diversity kind of has all become tied with a lot of the issues that planning boards have been discussing. So having another committee when finding volunteers in town is tough already.
Yeah, that makes a good point. Absolutely. Okay, thanks. Let's see. I can report briefly on Open Space Committee. Actually, we were supposed to meet this week, but it didn't get posted, so we're meeting next week. But there have been informal discussions about the Aqueduct Trail and who might participate in opening up negotiations to open the trail through the golf course and the Dow's lands, at least to get it to Natick, and then in the future to get it in the other direction across the farms to Framingham. And we'll be discussing this next week, but the Open Space Committee is interested in partnering with whoever leads those negotiations. And, it's not so matter of doing trail work, because there's not a lot of work to be done. I mean, there's some trail work to be done, which Forest and Trail would probably jump in to do. But who would be most appropriate to spearhead negotiations? And I'm wondering if planning board might want to, this is just me personally wondering, if planning board might want to partner with Open Space Committee to try to get that started again. What do you think, John?
I think that's a great idea.
Because I think planning board, you know, has a lot more sort of legal credibility than Open Space Committee, but Open Space Committee has a lot of interest. And so maybe the combination might be good.
Yeah, I had a good conversation at caucus with somebody about who's very interested. So I think, yeah, I think that's a good idea.
And anyone who's interested obviously could get involved, but it always takes, you know, someone or a small group of people to commit and spearhead it. So maybe John and I can talk about that a little bit more.
Great.
Okay. So I'll take that. I'll take, you know, how do other members of the planning board feel about that? I mean, is that okay with you?
It's fine.
Okay, great. Because I'd like to take that to Open Space Committee next week. And Gino's been helpful already in providing history and the original easement for the golf course on the Dow's property, which says, Gino, I forget the exact words, but basically one of the stipulations in the easement is that it be open to the public.
Right.
And I've been back there looking, you know, along that the route behind Meadowbrook, and there is a gap there. It'd be nice to have a bridge over that canal that goes through it, but Forest and Trail would probably jump to do that. And there is also, I'm committing Forest and Trail to all kinds of work. But John, you've talked about this before. I went back and looked at the best way to get around onto the golf cart path, and it doesn't look that hard.
I actually, my son was up from New Jersey, and I actually made a trip there to look at that area, in particular, look for a lost ball. Or more than one, if you have to know. But yes, I think it's very doable. I think it's, there's a very good example of a golf course in Weston that had the same kind of issues. And I think it was more difficult, and they've already implemented a well-received solution. That's so we've got a great case history nearby in Weston.
Oh, that's good to know. That's great. And do you know the people in Weston? We might be able to consult on that.
Yes, I do. I'll have to look at mine. I'll have to read. Yes, I do. I do.
I'm sure we could find it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Steph, do you have anything new from Groundwater Protection?
Yeah, I do. So Groundwater Protection met since the last meeting when Brian gave an update. And since then, Groundwater Protection Committee has posted fact sheet materials on drought, as well as PFAS testing, the private well testing program that the state is doing. They've posted fact sheets on those two on the town website under GPC page. The well testing postcards have gone out as confirmed by several residents who've received them. They sent out 200 postcards in the hopes of getting 50 homes to agree to private PFAS testing. So we put materials up, and what we're really grappling with is how to do outreach. So we're reaching out to like the local papers. People seem to be kind of shying away from Nextdoor for, you know, the obvious reasons. So it's just hard to think about how to do the outreach to make sure that people know the information out there. Right now, Groundwater Protection Committee is working on another fact sheet for artificial turf in light of the Laurel Fields warrant article. So, again, it's just mostly educationally related. John Garrison attended our meeting and asked explicitly, has the town requested GPC review of the developments? The answer was no, and he sort of emphasized how crucial Groundwater Protection Committee input could be to, like, ZBA, for example, and then he wrote a letter to ZBA pointing out that the Groundwater Protection Committee exists. So that's what's been going on.
Okay, great. I know Tom Trainer has put together a really revealing and educational look at the area of the wetlands and their importance around Laurel Fields and the drainage there. And then, yeah, the drainage area. Okay. Good. Anybody else have input from other committees? Or anything else at all?
I could ask the chair to ask Ms. Tyler if there's an update on traffic safety meeting.
Yes, Sue, please tell us. Thanks.
Yeah, we're trying to get, unfortunately, miscommunication with scheduling with the holiday and town hall. So we're at this point, hang on one second, we're hoping for next week. Of course, somebody's hoping that we can have a meeting in person at the town hall. No, I think it looks like the 28th.
Okay. Same night as the ZBA hearing.
Oh. Sorry. Is there something you want us to bring up or update or?
Well, we still have the update on the implementation plan from the master plan.
For which? I didn't hear you.
The implementation, to update the implementation tables for the master plan.
Oh, okay, yep.
And Sue, is there any resolution on the traffic safety, public safety committee future, or is there a new chair for traffic safety now? Or
That's coming up at our next meeting. So that'll be next week. As far as we've got one person that's already moved out of town. I will be moving out of town.
That's not legal.
Huh?
That's not legal.
Oh, I know, it's just not normal. And I believe, and I know there is another member that is only here basically 50% of the time and had already put in his letter of resignation, but he upped himself to get us through this transition here. So yeah, lots of changes, but it seems consensus wise, yes, at some point, traffic safety, public safety should be joined together. Most of them are all the same players, the fire chief, the police chief, the DPW, and all. And whether you have a subset of 2 or 3 that just, field the residents' concerns regarding complaints of speeds or trucks and such. It'll be worked out, but there's transitions there.
Right. Okay. So, well, good. You guys did some good work up to now. So we'll see whatever happens.
There's always good work to be done in the future.
That's right. Okay. Gino, do you have anything to report that we should know about?
Just one small thing. I was contacted by Framingham planning people that they're applying for a complete streets grant for Western Avenue and Loring Drive. And would we be willing to support, would the town of Sherborn be willing to support it? So I drafted a letter, sent it to David Williams and Sean just to see if there's any objections. It's mainly to make pedestrian and bicycle improvements on their portion of Western Avenue in Loring. And I just noted in the letter that our complete streets prioritization plan includes Western Avenue as one of 4 streets to be the basis of our bicycle plan, so that it's compatible with us. So hopefully David Williams will go ahead and sign that letter and we can support our neighbor.
Oh, that's great.
And hopefully in the future get their support for our projects.
Exactly, vice versa. Okay, that's good. I'm glad they chose a street that runs into Sherborn and that really needs some safety improvements. Okay, I think that's it for tonight. Are there any other comments or questions or?
I have one. I don't think we've talked about the associate member status other than before the meeting was called to order.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Steph. Yes, before the meeting, I don't know if everyone is quite here yet. Elizabeth is now officially appointed by the moderator to be the associate member of Planning Board. So welcome, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
And
Congratulations.
yeah, congratulations, and you'll get sworn in sooner.
I will say briefly as a credit to all of you that I attended this first meeting back in, I think it was December, on a total whim, thinking, oh, I wonder what's going on in town government. Oh, they're on Zoom, I'll go. And just really was enthralled with what was being discussed, and most of all, just the quality of contribution from you all. And I thought, wow, what a really intelligent and interesting group of people to collaborate with. And when this position came up, it seemed like the universe was telling me this is what I should do. So I'm really happy to be here, and I appreciate all of your welcoming me to the meetings, and I hope I can contribute.
I'm sure you will, no question.
She never watched traffic safety though.
Excellent.
Yeah, I mean, we're lucky she happened to pick planning boards.
Very true. And yes, Elizabeth, you've already brought a lot of benefit to the group. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Addie.
Yeah, it's quite a commitment, but it's really satisfying too, because I think this board really makes an impact on the town in a lot of ways. So, okay. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, Chris?
Aye.
Addie?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. So thank you, everyone. See you May 4th.
Have a good night.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.